TD Bank became the largest bank in the USA history to plead guilty for violating the Bank Secrecy Act. The bank agreed to pay over 3 billion in penalties to resolve the charges. In this video, we are going to see the details. These are the items which we shall be discussing. What is money laundering? The three stages of money laundering, Bank Secrecy Act, and finally about TD Bank, what they did, how they did, and what are the kind of penalties they are levied. What is money laundering? Before understanding that, let's see what are these key terms. Illegal money or dirty money is the money or the funds which are obtained through unlawful means or activities and often associated with various forms of crimes like tax evasion, drug trafficking, corruption, fraud, etc. Now, there is another term which is there, which is the black money. And black money can be the money obtained through legal or illicit means, but the taxation is avoided in that. Let's see an example of how black money is generated. In this example, we are seeing a business which is earning its money via legit means. They have a revenue, which is also called sales, and they have a profit also, which they are generating. This revenue and profit has to be reported to the government. And why government needs this? They need this to levy taxation on the business. Now, let's say the business generates a profit of 1 million every year and they are reporting only 800K to the government. So what about the 200K which is not being reported as profit to the government? That 200K has become tax free. So even though the means by which this money was earned was completely legit, but the 200K which is not reported to the government and thereby taxation has not been paid on that 200K is a black money. So black money essentially can be earned via legit or illegit means and the taxation is avoided on the black money. Now what is money laundering? So the funds which was earned via the illegal activities, these funds, if we have to make them legit, that practice of making the illegal funds or illicit funds legit is called money laundering. Money laundering is defined as the criminal practice of making funds from illegal activity appear legitimate. And how this is done? By disguising the sources. Money launderers attempt to do this by disguising the sources, converting cash to other forms, or moving money to places where it is less likely to attract attention. So, this is an example of money laundering. During the Prohibition era, notorious gangster Al Capone allegedly bought laundromats to mix proceeds from criminal activity with legitimate business sales. So the money which was illicitly earned was shown or pumped into laundromats, and thereby it was difficult to ascertain whether the money is coming from legal or illegal, and the mix of funds have been created to create confusion and to convert illicit money into legit money. Once the illegitimate money is acquired, how to make it legit? Those are the three stages of money laundering. The first step is the placement. Here, the money is placed to a proper business or it is placed in a bank via small transactions. So now what has happened is the money from the left side, illegitimate funds, have become placed in a legal economy. Now what is done is something called as layering. So here money is separated from its source. Layering can involve many steps and transactions, and this is where it becomes very confusing to know the exact source of money. So for example, this money may be transformed into a Bitcoin, and then there may be a purchase of a silver. It can again be sold to acquire the dollars, and then it can be used to acquire some stocks and bonds. So here so much layering is happening that the original source of money is not at all traceable. We are creating so much confusion. Another simplified example could be that the money is converted into euro and then we purchase gold from it. So layering is basically used to create confusion. And once this money is layered, then it is integrated to the financial system, thereby making the dirty money appear clean. At this integration step, the money has effectively been cleaned and it appears to be legitimate. And it can be used like any other funds now. It can be used for manufacturing, for agriculture, for purchasing houses, mansions, for building a township, and uh, it can be invested somewhere else as well. So, this is the three steps by which the money which was illicit has been converted into a legit money. So, what is Bank Secrecy Act? For combating money laundering and to prevent the financial crimes, BSA has been envisioned. The BSA requires ben- the BSA requires financial institutions such as bank and credit unions to assist government agencies in detecting and preventing money laundering and other financial crimes. And how? By implementing various reporting and record keeping requirements. So, financial institutions must identify its source, volume, and movement of currency and other monetary instruments deposited into financial institutions. Financial institutions must file currency transaction reports (CTRs) for transactions over designated thresholds. So, if a transaction is more than a $10,000, for example, the CTR should be filed. The currency transaction report are used to identify individuals or entities conducting cash transactions and maintain a paper trail. Financial institutions must report suspicious activity that involved money laundering and other criminal activities. This Bank Secrecy Act is also called Currency and Foreign Transactions Reporting Act because it is primarily uh, using reporting to identify the money laundering. The anti-money laundering penalties and enforcement actions are listed here. They are not limited to only this, but there may be extensive other actions also. But some of the actions are listed here. Financial institutions can lose their charters. Financial institution employees can be removed or barred from banking. Individuals convicted of money laundering or terrorist financing can face up to 20 years of prison and a fine of up to 500K per count. Property involved in money laundering and terrorist financing may be subject to forfeit. Criminal penalties may apply for willful blindness violations, failure to implement regulations, and for structuring transactions to evade BSA reportings. Now, what did TD Bank has to do with it? So, TD's money laundering practices were identified by different federal agencies and departments which work together, and thereby these are the penalties which were levied on TD Bank. Justice Department 1.8 billion, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network 1.3 billion, OCC 450 million, and Federal Reserve 123.5. So counting to more than 3 billion penalties have been levied on TD Bank. What are the charges? The bank failed to identify and report suspicious activities, financial activities, allowing backlog of suspicious activity to persist, not taking action to address the risk of high risk countries, not detecting suspicious activity involving its employees, allowing employees to facilitate the laundering of narcotics proceeds in exchange for bribes. So these are the charges which are put against TD Bank.